Guys and girls, welcome to another week of BJonGameDay. A little bit of a somber episode this week, as you can see there on the screen, guys. Just an in memoriam for a close friend of Brent's, and unfortunately he won't be here tonight on the show. We got word yesterday that young Nick Fowler, who avid Supercoach player, and he's in a draft league that Brent and I have been in for, going on 6-7 years now. Nico and Brent, a few of the other lads had a little bit before I was even involved. Unfortunately, Nico passed away in a single vehicle accident in Canberra in the last, I think it was yesterday. It sort of rocked us all a little bit, and unfortunately, boys and girls, Brent won't be with us tonight. Nick's family aren't necessarily in Canberra, so Brent and a few of the other lads have just had to sort of pick up the ball and run with it, and trying to do a few duties that obviously happens when someone passes away. And as you imagine, lads, when someone is so young, it's heartbreaking. Nico, big Sharkies fan, like myself, and we found plenty of things to sort of find in common there with that. Just obviously starts the week on a sour note this week, guys. You will just have me, myself. We wish Nico a safe journey up to the skies, up to the heavens, and it's always sad to have, guys. So little bit of a somber note, but we will kick on with a good show. We will kick on with trying to have as much fun as we can. You'll just have me this week, and we've obviously got Bogan in the background running the joint as normal. So guys, I don't really have too much more to say other than that. Obviously, it's a tragic sort of accident when as I say, single vehicle accident. Saw Nico unfortunately finish his time up with us, but we'll miss him nonetheless. And up Cronulla for him. Hopefully the boys can represent him well for the rest of the year, and he'll have his place in our draft this year. Obviously he won't have any team changes, but no doubt his team was always a force. And I'm looking forward to him beating me a couple of times this year with an unchanged team, just the way I go in draft. So guys, just obviously holding back a few tears. Been a tough day or two for Hampton, and hopefully he'll be back next week once he can get all that in order. But Bogan, mate, obviously a little bit of a different week for Supercoach last week, mate. Something of a little bit of a return to 2021 with some massive scores, mate.
Maybe for you.
Well, depending on who you're captain, of course. Fortunately, Hampton and I both had Pappy as captain.
I texted both you and Brent, and I said, all right, Pappy or Munster, and I went, whoever these pricks fucking pick, I'm going to go the opposite.
Yeah. And you did, mate, and you did.
And it fucking sucked.
Captain. Mate, honestly, I was, look, it's one of those things, mate. Captain choices is what rules and makes and breaks everyone's season. We can probably point out in the last couple of seasons those weeks where that sort of single captain has gone 150 plus, and it makes a huge difference. If you can get 4 or 5 of those throughout the season, which normally that's all there is. There's 4 or 5 times a player will sort of score 150 points plus, 200 plus. You've got to get those weeks right, otherwise you definitely move down the ladder. As I say, mate, happily for me, me and Hampton this week, mate, we picked the right guy. But like yourself, mate, a few red arrows. What did you down date, mate, or like did you go down in spots?
I did, mate. My Supercoach form in general isn't enough for me to even check spots. I dare say I would have though. I still scored over a ton, but that wasn't good enough this week. There's guys that score 1500s, and it's like So, ended up trading in to get Munster, What a waste of fucking money. I should have went with Dearden like I fucking planned. It wouldn't have been disastrous, and I would have had the captain on Pappy.
Mate did, and he kept up the performance. He performed well again. Obviously, he's probably not the lethal level that we see in a few other players, but mate, he's definitely playing solid for the Cows. So whoever's got on him from the start of the season is going to make plenty of money. And I think probably what I saw last week with a lot of my players was making money, which is great. We probably saw, rather than round 3 where there was a lot of sort of changes, round 4 was definitely big for a lot of players. So, mate, happily. Look, probably the biggest disappointment I had was trading out Moses, but wasn't last week. It was probably the week before. So I was fortunate enough to get him in, sort of get him out the week before and get Hines in, and captain Hines, and sort of get that. Sorry, I didn't captain him, but to get that 120 odd. But Mitchell Moses came back with a vengeance and was huge on the weekend. So, look, I think I mentioned in one of the league chats, one of the podcaster chats, it's hard to have everyone at the moment. You know, we don't have the salary cap. We don't have that sort of salary level where we can have 17 guns. There's always 2 or 3 that you're going to miss out. A lot of talk this week around, you know, Dylan Brown, his performances, and Mitchell Moses. And, you know, these are 2 out of the top 4 sort of scoring players that people don't have. So, very, very interesting at this time of the year about how you go about that and who you sort of bring in. As you say, Munster sort of failed with, I think, a 33 or a 34 points on the weekend. So we reassess, we go again, and we see what we can change, mate. So, mate, for me, scoring last week, I think I scored just over 1,300. I think 1,315 or 1,318 or something like that. So happily saw green arrows, mate. Happily saw green arrows. I'm up to about 7,000 overall. Considering last year the highest I got was 30,000, it was just a shocking year. Pretty happy with where everything sits at the moment. So, just got to build on that, and hopefully I've got the core of my team right. I may miss 1 or 2 players like the Dylan Browns and that, who are absolutely firing. But a couple of strategic buy-ins this week with regards to making money and very, very low break-evens that we'll talk about during the show. But, mate, we may as well get straight into the game wrap-ups from last week. And, look, we can see probably, this game got enough coverage as the worst game that anyone's ever seen in the NRL history. My best mate was at this game, actually, Pete. He took his daughter to the game. And, they're both Titans fans. So they had something to cheer about, but it took them 79 minutes to have to cheer. This was just an absolute stinker.
Yeah, I think probably the big news from this one that hurt me anyway, I'm sure it stung a few other people out there, was not watching the team list at all. Bo Firma, down with COVID with about a couple of hours before?
Yeah, look, I reckon they probably had about 6 hours notice. I reckon that was what we saw with about 6 hours notice. And look, if you're not, if you're busy working, if you're not on, plastered over social media, or if you're not even able to check your social media at work, that's one that sort of could have got by you. So a lot of people hurt with an AE. I think probably the most fortunate thing was that a lot of the teams had Amone from the Dragons, who scored -1. Now, a lot of people bitching and moaning about this online, and probably rightly so. An AE can only come in if they score above 0, and this guy scored -1 in 14 minutes. So plenty of people had him starting her as a reserve, but for anyone who had an AE, I reckon they got an extra 30 points out of it because they didn't get that guy. So we'll go into that game shortly, but mate, not too much to say about this. David Fafita never saw the ball whatsoever. I spoke to Pete, my mate, while he was at the game, and he was wondering whether Fafita was even playing because I think he had about 5 runs for the whole game. It was just wasn't good enough from the Titans. You've got a guy of his stature. They need to target him more and get him more ball. But that's probably all I want to say about that one, mate. There's not too much on. Let's move on to the next game.
Jimmy the Jet came back there with the 43.
Look, Jimmy the Jet he's on the list, mate. He is on the list.
He's probably ingrained on the list. Like it's carved in stone.
He's had a couple of times in the last couple of seasons where people have just sort of thought he was that cheap that you've got to get on him. We're talking 240, 250, 280k, that kind of stuff. And people are just like, oh, you've got to get Jimmy the Jet. No, you look, this bloke could be 180,000 and you just wouldn't go near him. He just doesn't have the game. He doesn't have the self-discipline. And simply, he just doesn't have the ability to be anything more than an NRL player in a bottom 4 team. So he works well there at the Tigers.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, perfect Tiger.
Hey, look, you put. We've spoken about it. Look, you look at my namesake, Joshy King, who's gone down the Melbourne Storm. He's left the Newcastle Knights and he's gone to that Storm in probably the most successful system we've seen in the last 20 years, and he's thriving. I think you can put Jimmy the Jet in that system and he'd still fail. So, and it goes regardless, mate. Look, Belly, he only ever signs hard-working players, and I just don't think Jimmy's one of those. So, yeah, we move on. Definitely on the list.
So I think we're gonna forego that chili challenge. This week.
We'll let Hampton get away with this. Update on the chili challenge, though. We have had some midweek updates between me and Shano. I think it's sometime during mid-July that Cronulla will come up against the Panthers at Panthers Stadium. I did say to Shano, if I can find a way, if I can find a weekend free to duck down there and go to the game with him, it's basically 2-1. So obviously the Panthers, mate, they're the best team in the comp. They're playing like it. They've got the roster. They've got everything there. We've basically gone a chili challenge, except if the Sharkies win, he's got a down 2. If the Panthers win, I've got a down 1. But we're going to go all the way with, mate. We're going to go with Carolina Reapers.
I think he's giving you pretty good odds there,
mate. Yeah, look. Let's just see how we go. So that'll be in mid-July. Look, if I don't make it down there, the bet will stand. It will be on video. But we'd love to do it and jump onto the field after the game and see if we can do one under the goalpost or something like that. So we'll make a video if we can, if that happens, that we can chuck up on here, and that'll be a highlights reel for years to come, that's for sure. But, mate, from this game, look, the Sharks were just brilliant. The Knights weren't terrible, but I think the Sharks have really shown they are a top 4 potential side. The inclusion of Hines, as much as he wasn't a factor in this game, Supercoach-wise, the likes that they've signed have just been really, really good. And the players that they've already had have developed even further. So the Sharks dominated up the middle. They dominated out wide. Talakai was just brilliant. And a lot of people talking about bringing him in this week. He's got to break even about -35 or -40. He will be your most popular buy in this week, just with regards to his break even. And the fact that the Sharks play the West Tigers as well, who have been deplorable so far and have lost all their games and sit on the bottom of the ladder. For the Knights, Dane Gagai continued his good form. He is the top centre winger in the comp at the moment. And, yeah, look, the Queensland form has entered into NRL Clubland.
Hasn't for one Kalen Ponga.
Well, Ponga obviously first week back he struggled. I think he scored 10 points or something around there. Anyone who owned him were obviously taking a massive gamble. I think mostly at this stage of the season we'll find him in a lot of draft teams. But Chris Randall played 80 minutes, 62 points in pure base, just tackling his heart out. I think that was due to a Frizzell injury. Tyson Frizzell finds himself back this week. I think Randall will go back to that 50 minutes, and I think we'll see him go back down to about a 35 to 40 average. So we'll just wait and see. You can always see defensive players, once they're getting dominated in games, to tackle more and get scores like that. So I think it's probably just an anomaly, and I think anyone who owns Randall still, which is a lot of people, can probably just benefit from the price rise over the next week or two before they get rid of him to someone else. What do we got? I just thought I'd have a quick look in the chat. We'll have a look at there in a second. Move on to the next game, mate. The Friday night game. I think we saw the Panthers and the Rabbits in the grand final replay. The Panthers were brilliant in this one. Tyrone. Not Tyrone, mate. What's his name? What's this kid's name?
Tyrone 2.
Yeah, he's the brother. I can't remember the cunt's name. Taylor? No.
It is something like Terrain or something like that.
Yeah.
Tyrone 2.
Yeah, that'll do. Mate, had another cracker, scored a couple of tries, 97 points after 106. I think his break even is around about minus 100 or something like that. So, boys and girls, if you don't have this guy on your team, you've obviously missed 2 rounds where you missed 100 points, but you've got to get him in because he's just going to earn you money straight away. A 30 or a 40, an average week, this guy's still going to pick up 100K. He'll pick up 100 the next week after.
Targo's price would still be pretty good too.
Halen, mate, that's the cunt's name. What's that, sorry, mate?
Targo's price would still be good
too.
Targo,
he's got a break even sort of in that low minuses, so around that minus 20, minus 30. So again, he's another one. I think a lot of your major players have started with him, rightfully so, and he's proven his performances there. I think he's had 4 very, very solid. Ah, shit.
The laptop dying?
The laptop. Oh, yeah, I've got about 2 minutes. Fuck.
It could turn into the Bogan show here.
Hang on, boys. No, we're getting that. I need a cord out the window here, please. Hang on. We've got the missus to the rescue, lads.
While Joshie's sorting that, Taylor May, he's got a break even of 123 at the moment.
123. Yeah.
His projected price change is 148,000.
Where's the hole? Usually that's me asking that. All right, we're on here. We're back.
Isaac Targo, he's got a break even of minus 19, and he's got a predicted price change of 62,000. So there is some cash cow Panthers at the moment.
How do I know if it's fucking charging? I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll find out
in
a minute.
Yeah.
Cardi party if you lose the match. Shieldsy, mate, I wasn't... Look, as I say, mate, you saw at the start of the show, it's been a tough week for Brent. I was very, very close to taking Cardi next week and missing tonight. But we've made it again. We're here. You can't accuse us that we aren't, mate. We are here for another week. Philly Kickout, mate, continues his good form. Reigning champ Timmy, he'd be absolutely stoked with that. Timmy Moody. The Villy Army is going strong. Dylan Edwards has started off the season absolutely fantastic as well. Cam Murray for the Bunnies, probably the number 1 second row forward in the comp at the moment, and considering his performances, very, very low ownership. Cookies played well as well. So, look, probably what we come to expect from these two teams is some really, really good solid scorers. Nathan Cleary, first game back, shoulder injury, 34 points. I saw a lot of people brought him in. I saw a few people captain him. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, wait for that price drop and then bring him in.
Honestly, if anything sort of showed us from Turbo in the first round, 1.2 million Turbo. Now we've got him out for 6 weeks. Another price drop. I think we waited on it. I don't think it was a massive urgency.
There's a certain motherfucker with a cat fucking avatar that's feeling like Nostradamus when it comes to Turbo.
Oh, yeah. Mate, look. Yeah, it's one of those things where I think a lot of people have... Yeah, we sort of knew. We wanted to, but you fear the people who actually went him. And if he had to come out at the start of the season on 150, 150, 150, the season's all over, mate. You never get him. You never get near him. Fortunately, the people who didn't go him and didn't go Cleary are the ones who don't have egg on their faces. So, we just we count ourselves lucky, and the fact that we're in the top echelon of those groups, and hopefully we can move forward, mate. I'm ranked 7,000, and I'm still 500 points behind. So it's starting to feel like the season already starts to skip away from you a little bit. We really need those pods to step up that we do have. So anyway, mate, Saturday football and 2:30 game. 2:30 game in the afternoon. I think 2 o'clock game. The Warriors getting over the Broncos, mate. This was probably really, compared to the bookies, the only upset of the week. I think the Broncos were slight favourites. How, I don't know. If the Warriors were playing in New Zealand, it would have been the other way. But it was obviously played at Redcliffe. Jesse Arthur scored a double. Probably not too Supercoach relevant. Reece Walsh was pretty good. Jazz Tavanga, mate, I've always been a big fan. I think his duality is fantastic. Nice little backup hooker there. Payne Haas had another solid game with 83 points. Fanua Blake has found himself an injury. He has been relegated outside the top 17 at the moment, but he is there on the reserves just in case he does pull through. Mate, Tommy Flegler, had a good game to come back with 53 points, but found himself on report 4 times. So I think he's been done for 2 weeks, but he's my kind of player. I like this kid. I said at the start of the season, who were those 3 blokes? Remember I said one of these blokes will turn into a good footballer? We had Horsburgh, we had Matt Eisenhuth, and we had Flegler. Well, I reckon it's about $1.20 now that it's Flegler out of those 3 that turns into a good player because both the others are shitouts.
It sounds like an enforcer. You get put on report 4 times.
Mate, but there's something there. Look, I know. I think it's probably him trying to be that when he isn't. The TPJ thing and all that kind of bullshit. I think if Flegler just plays that good footy and that offload footy, he's really got a good offload in him. He's learnt that in the off season. Well, he had it before, but he's definitely pushed it forward in the off season. Mate, Flegler, when he comes back, I'll be looking at him through Origin because I reckon he can step up and play all right. Yeah, boys, in the chat, Stags and Cobbo.
Fucking hell, they're an inch away, mate. They're an inch away.
I tell you what, mate.
The faith is struggling, but they'll both score fucking 120 the week that I get rid of them.
Mate, I had visions to a game 3 or 4 years ago. The Warriors played the Broncos over in New Zealand, I think, and Jermaine Asako was on the right wing, and I think he scored 140 points. He scored 3 tries or something, and I had visions of the Broncos being able to sort of do a similar thing, and Cobbo, being the beneficiary. And, mate, he's come out and he's just done nothing. And him and Stags, the only thing they know how to do in football is drop the ball. Everything else, they've got no idea about. So, guys, we know we're going to get them at reduced price. They're going to drop in price. Stags is probably going to go down to $250K in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. But I guarantee you there will be a time we all get him in the next 6 weeks. Stags is too good a player. He just needs to find that confidence again. Once he does, I'm tempted anyway in the next 2 to 3 weeks, even if he doesn't by then. When he does bottom out, whoever the shit cunt is in my centre wingers, get rid of him and bring him in because, yeah, he will blow up 1 week, and I just don't want to miss it. We've got plenty of boys in the chat. 25 on there. Cooler at fullback, almost a must, Benny says. We'll get to that shortly, mate. What have we got in the next game, mate? All right, well, there you go. So, Manly, 25-6 over the Raiders. I didn't actually catch this game. Obviously, Tommy Turbo had a good return. Daly Cherry Evans he's just solid. He's just solid. He will get better throughout the season. I know a lot of people are talking about sort of Cleary and Moses. Mate, if you started with DCE, you're just going to hold him the whole season long.
Are you, though?
Yeah, look.
Without Turbo, and this has been evidenced in the early games where teams have successfully shut Turbo down,
look,
Manly are fucked.
I'm not one for stats. I'm not one for sort of following it too closely. I will look them up and sort of go off things. I couldn't tell you whether I'm right or wrong when I say this, but I think DCE plays all right with or without Turbo there. Yes, he is better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disputing that, but I still think DCE without Turbo is a top 3 halfback in the comp.
I suppose it is is this a contract season for Cherry Evans?
He's got a 10-year, $1 million a year contract.
I think it's nearly up.
No, that was only maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Because he was going to go to the Titans back 5-6 years ago. He was going to go to the Titans, and then Manly signed him to the Tamalolo deal, a 10-year, $1 million a season deal. So I'm pretty sure, there's plenty of years on that. But, I mean, this is probably a common thing that we saw last year. Turbo, Cherry Evans, and Garrick as the top 3 scorers for Manly. It was just normally those 3 top scorers were over 100. So definitely a few things have changed there. Jackie Whiten continues to play well for the Raiders. Great draft prospect. Whether you can have him, he did start the season as a low number, so he would have made plenty of cash between then and now. But yeah. It seems that Turbo probably put a hammy or something. Yeah, I did, Briz, mate. Yeah, look, Tommy Turbo, mate. Unfortunate. It's just simple fact is that there's just guys out there who are they're injury prone, mate.
Yeah,
They're injury prone. He's shown it. They are. The Adam Reynolds, the George Defours. There are these players that are just a little bit more glassier than the others. So,
and what was one of your 10 commandments?
You don't pick injured players.
Yep.
You don't pick injury-prone players. Look, it's always been one of mine. And consistency is one thing you look for, and you've got to be on the park every week, week in, week out. You don't want to have to burn trades. You don't want to have to go through trades. I don't want a player who plays 15 out of the 25 rounds. I want a player who plays 22 or 23 out of the 25 rounds.
And you don't want $1 million sitting on the bench either.
No, and look, I mean, obviously talk around, and he downgraded. I mean, fair play. I think he was 103 or 104 before the update. So he did get downdated to 87, which sort of hurt for owners. But yeah, anyone who jumped off Turbo last week and got to Pappy, fucking gold. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah. Good on you, Breeze. You took yourself out. Instead of getting the Parramatta game. We'll change the fucking channel, Bogan. Where's the Parramatta game?
That'll be... That was on Sunday, wasn't it?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We're still on Saturday, mate. Still really Super Saturday.
Mate, the Roosters just too classy for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys really got the wake-up call that they needed. But still, Tamalolo was great. As you say, mate, earlier in the show, Dearden was just solid again. And Ruben Cotter, mate, anyone who sort of had a look at him, really, really solid. I think I don't see this.
He'd be a good draft player.
Mate, honestly, like he's cheese level. He is just a workhorse. He wants to get involved. He's got that potential to break the line as just a little nuggety player. So yeah, some good signs there from the Cowboys early in the season, but I think they'll still be sort of, on the edge of that top 8, just outside it. But for the Roosters, it was the Joey Manu show, mate. He was just absolutely sensational. I think he'd hit 100 points by half time. After that, they went elsewhere. Victor Radley was good. Teddy was just solid. I know it was 88 points there, but he was just solid. What happened there, mate?
What?
My screen went back to me lighting up a cigarette.
I don't know, mate.
Oh, sakes. Technical difficulties, ladies.
Technical difficulties on your side.
Yeah, well, that's probably what it is.
Everyone else has seen you respond to that.
There you go. Tupou. Yeah, wow, Daniel Tupou. Kano was talking about him earlier in the week. I thought he was maybe in a void for a little bit. Not in a void, but I just thought you could maybe wait a week or two longer. He's just really picked up his form from the start of the season, which is what he normally doesn't do. He normally waits a few weeks before he kicks into gear. So anyone who sort of got on him early, I know there's a lot of people who have sort of taken that cheapy option or that cheapy route in the centre wings, your Targos, your Firmas, a few other players like that. So anyone who did have the balls to go him, I think you're reaping the rewards, which is good. I am just getting a loop of me lighting up a fucking cigarette and the Canberra Raiders Manly game.
Hold on,
but anyway,
just let me mute so I can check the stream to make sure it's not.
That's coming through. All right. Anyway.
So yeah, it seems to be coming through fine.
No, all good. Change the next game, mate, and see if it changes on my screen. Oh wow! All right. I've basically got like hieroglyphics. It's like looking at Windings.
I'll tell you what's on the screen right now. Is
Melbourne Storm. Steve Pappy scored fucking shitloads, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Melbourne Storm thumped the fucking Bulldogs. Ryan Pappenhausen 193. What are your thoughts?
Mate, solid game. 4 tries. the Storm absolutely destroyed the Bulldogs. Any thought that the Dogs were, I guess, a rebuilt team, or this was going to be a rebuilding year? Keep building, boys. It took Gus 10 years to get the fucking Panthers right. Oh, it's just cleared up. TPJ, 82 points. He's played absolutely solid on the dog side. So anyone who did go him, he's been a little bit up and down, a little bit rocks and diamonds, as we know we can get from him. But maybe there is light at the tunnel for anyone who did go him. Harry Grant solid again. Xavier Coates as really, I like him more on the right side. I think they've moved him from the left out to the right, and I think it's paying dividends. He looks more comfortable out there. He looks more comfortable running the ball, returning the ball. Definitely a proposition now. Anyone who's sort of looking at him, if him on the right-hand side, Melbourne can score from anywhere. So left or right doesn't really matter. Wherever he's more comfortable, he's going to go better at Supercoach.
It seems like Cam Munster just set up a hammock between the uprights and had a sleep for most of the match.
Who's that? Cam Munster?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I was a little bit fortunate. I'll put a shout out to one of my leagues that I'm in with a couple of the boys at work. We got to the start of the week and everything kicked off, and out of 17 players, we only had 5 different from each other, 5 unique. And we both captained Pappy. And fortunately, my opposition changed his captain from Pappy at the start of this game to Munster, and I ended up getting the win. Otherwise, he was going to destroy me, because coming into the last game, I had Munster and he had Coates, and he had a 25-point lead, and I thought, I'm a chance here. And when I saw Coates was killing it and Munster was going average, I thought, shit. And then I looked at the scores and I was about 50 up. I thought, what's going on here? And it was just the fact that Pappy had gone insane as captain. So really nice to get those 380 points. They definitely helped. And when we get the green arrow.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, we've got a...
Here we go, Benny and Shieldsy.
Next game, mate. No, boys. Well, obviously the Eels have had a great start to the season. Actually, no, they lost to Cronulla, didn't they? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But look, Supercoach this week, Mitchell Moses, huge. 24 points on the game, 2 tries, 8 from 8 with the kick. Dylan Brown's been sensational the last 2 weeks, clearing a ton both weeks. Wanga Blake looked really good on the wing. IPAP, a lot of people talk about IPAP, obviously getting him in to partner Haas in the front row. It is your front row partnership right now, and since the start of the season, I've had IPAP in the second row. He will be who I move up there once the sort of second rowers start to establish who the best ones are to have.
And even when he scores low, IPAP, he's just, once he's in your team, that's it. Unless he gets injured or something like that, but it doesn't. You put him in your team and you just leave him there.
Well, I started the season with him and Fafita both there. I managed to get them both in the sort of second row. Happily, I avoided Angus Crichton. IPAP, I know a lot of people sort of talked about the unicorn points from last year and that, but he was just solid. He just gained so much confidence from being in that Eels team, and probably just been in a harder working team than what the Warriors were. That's just continued on this year. He looks, I've said it before, after 5 minutes he looks gassed, and he looks the same after 80 minutes. He is just the bloke who puts in the same amount of effort the whole way through. You're going to get a guaranteed 80 minutes out of him. Yeah, a point per minute. He will finish the year on sort of 75 average. So, if you can find a way to get him in the front row quicker than later, there's not going to be any origin. There's not going to be any representative football that keeps him out. So provided he stays injury-free, touch wood, he's definitely a good player to have in your team. Nah, Benny. Moses putting pressure on Cleary. Nah.
Oh, fuck no.
Moses had his chance last year. He had a huge year in 2020. 2021 was his chance to sort of get alongside Cleary in Origin. He didn't take it. Mate, 2 or 3 good games this year doesn't mean shit. He's not a chance for Origin. You've got Cleary. The only person who's going to change in the halves is if they go Luai to Nico Hines, because Nico's got plenty of hype around him and looks really. So
I don't think they will.
No, I don't.
I think they want to stay with that combination. But you got to find a spot for Hines somewhere.
Look,
Where
it's
do
hard.
you put him?
Who do you play?
Because they got
do you play Tuffy or do you play Nico? You can't find anywhere else in the team for him to play.
Yeah.
You know, Teddy's at fullback. Turbo's going to be in the centres. Latrell's going to make his way into the centres. I can see Jack in the boot as much as he's been solid this year. Yeah, there's nowhere really for either of these blokes to fit into this team. They're all just that good. So,
yeah.
Anyway. From a Dragons point of view, they're all shit cunts.
Yeah.
But
their own coach came out and called them shit.
Yeah. So,
which is what
a lot of people have got Jack Bird, who again he was solid, but he did score a try in that. So, without that try, it's a very, very meagre score. Look, you just can't have anyone in that team at the moment. If Hunt still had duality in hooker, you definitely have him in there as a chance for your sort of reserve hooker. But nah, can't go there.
And that was the round that was. Onto the round coming up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Bit of change of graphics, these boys.
I'm hoping it's a little bit more visible for you this week, King.
It is. It's just a little bit easier to read when we're doing it. So, first up Thursday night, we've got the Knights up against the Sea Eagles. The big one out of this is Kula getting the number 1 spot. The inclusion of Tuapulatua, however you say that game, over Brad Parker. Brad Parker's stuck in there outside the squad. But yeah, Turbo out for 4 weeks. Most people are talking about 6 to 8 weeks even as well. And you can be guaranteed with how important he is. As much as you'd want to rush him back, they won't risk it. They will try and get their form back without this guy there. For the Sea Eagles, Olakautu's been absolutely awesome to start the season. I can see why people have started him and gone that way. DCE, as we spoke about, has been solid. For the Knights, Tyson Frizzell has been named in the back row despite that injury there last week. Nothing really new there for the Knights. We've seen that sort of line up for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and hopefully they can get a little bit of improvement out of Ponga. Definite coin flip, this one. Obviously, the Knights have been in a little bit better form, but the Sea Eagles have definitely got that potential. So we'll see what happens there. I just think this will probably be a dour game. Like, I don't think, without Turbo there, I think the Sea Eagles are going to struggle to score the points. And that may give the edge to the Knights. I probably see the Knights winning this one by 1 or 2 tries, but we'll see.
I reckon the Knights. Is it too controversial to say? I reckon the Knights look better without Ponga.
Mate, I said it last week in a chat. The Knights put too much emphasis on getting him involved. He needs to be someone who doesn't handle the ball as a first or a second receiver. But at the same stage, he doesn't have the support play that we see out of the Teddies and the Pappies. He really is that block play king. He really is that sort of, on that left-hand side, the cutout pass from your second row position out to your winger. There's just not enough variety there with Ponga. He hasn't learnt the game as much as these guys have, and he's sort of lost a little bit of that unpredictability. I think he's fallen into a category where they know what teams know what they're going to get out of Ponga and where he's going to come from on the field. Don't get me wrong, that may work 1 or 2 tries a game and give them that advantage, but then they're concentrating on it too much and not playing to their other strengths. So, mate, I completely agree.
I think a lot of forward packs have figured him out as well. Because if you watch a Newcastle Knights game that Kalen Pong is playing in, you're guaranteed to see him get smashed at least twice.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've figured out his step.
Any sponsors? But anyway.
Oh, okay. It's always the way. There we go. There's a billboard.
There's a thumbnail for you, mate. There's a thumbnail for you.
On to the next game, mate.
On to the next one. Righto. 6 p.m. game.
Shit game.
Yeah. this one won't be worth too much watching.
Except Reece Walsh, he's a superstar of the future. Wayne Bennett, if you're listening, sign Walsh, not Ponga.
Oh, mate, if they get Reece Walsh there at the Dolphins, if they get Cam Munster, and then if they can get a solid 7 to go with them as well, it's a great start. But
we're going to be shit next year.
Yeah,
it's going to be painful to watch.
I think one of the hard parts with whenever one of these Queensland teams has been established in the past, we look at the Cowboys originally, the South East Queensland Crushers, Gold Coast Titans. They've always struggled in that first couple of seasons.
Gold Coast Titans, Chargers, Giants.
The thing as well is, buddy, I mentioned in the chat earlier, you could almost split this team into 2-8s. This competition into 2-8s. Your top 8 teams have really clearly pushed themselves out from the bottom 8 teams. I truly believe the depth isn't there to have another team or another 2 teams in the next couple of years. I think they need to figure out a little bit more how to bring these kids through and stuff as better players, because, whether it's the coaching ranks, whether it's anything else, but the top 8 teams are so far ahead of the bottom 8 teams, it's not funny. I just think that the Dolphins are they're going to be resigned to the fact that you're entering in from the bottom of the bottom of everything, and how that works, I'm not too sure.
There seemed to be an attitude of get Wayne Bennett and that'll attract players. Players don't give a fuck about Wayne Bennett anymore. It's not the 90s or early 2000s anymore. Players will go for less money to play under a Craig Bellamy, but not a Wayne Bennett. Not anymore.
Agreed.
Those days are over. But that's for a discussion next year, I guess. And I say that as someone who's already pledged my allegiance to the fucking Dolphins. I own 2 jerseys and a training shirt and fucking everything. They're gonna be fucking terrible next year. But bring back the Bears.
Did you say you own 2 jerseys of the Dolphins already?
Yep, and a training shirt.
Jesus, they make them in your size.
That's why I got them, because they were in fucking huge sizes, and I got a 6XL, and then I saw that they had 7XLs on sale, and it's like, oh, get one of those. So.
Boys and girls at home, you don't know how big Bogan is until you run into the cunt, mate.
That being said,
not the smallest human.
Yeah, and before any criticisms from me switching to from South to the Dolphins, I got my two yearly Norse jerseys today in the post. So So bring back the Bears. It's still strong. I don't like their fucking chances with their bid though. Anyway, let's get on to this game. Warriors versus Cowboys. It'll be a shit game.
Yeah. Mate, there's not too much to talk about. Alicia Katoa relegated to the bench. Bailey Sheridan starts in the second row. AFB out with that slight injury, as we spoke about, but he is named in the, I think, the 19 jersey. So, depending on how he recovers that, maybe there is a chance that he comes back in.
Thoughts on SJ?
I think at the moment there's too many other players that you look at the moment that are going to do right by your team, whether it's making money, whether it's making points. I think rightfully so we've moved away from him, mate.
Rephrase the question. I've got SJ on the bench in my draft team. Do I bring him into the starting lineup?
For who?
Dearden.
Mate, I think you get half a dozen. What do you call it? 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
Toss a coin. Toss a coin. You reckon?
Yeah. Look, it's whoever's going to have the better game.
They're fucking playing each other too. So great.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's exactly where I sort of look at it. I think they're both good for 40 to 60 points in the game, mate. As you say, flip a coin. It's going to end up 10 points one way, 10 points the other. So yeah, I don't think there's too much danger either way. Put it this way. I don't see either of them bust them out having 120, 140 points. Tommy Dearden's probably looked the more likely to sort of ton up. And maybe that's where you go. Maybe he's getting to that time in his career where he gets a little bit better. So, yeah, probably lean towards Tommy Dearden. For the Cows, look, we sort of see that same squad that we've seen week in, week out. Tamalolo at 13. Tanua Brown finds his way back into the team. Cotter on the bench, Neem on the bench. Lukey have been solid. Nanai have been solid. But really no one I'm desperate to get into my Supercoach team this week. Valentine Holmes was really good last week against the Roosters, except he got found out defensively by Joey Manu. He's not going to find that same difficulty this week in Jesse Arthurs or Adam Pompey. Again, probably more of a draft prospect than a classic prospect.
Jazz Travunga, is he injured this week? Or?
Yeah, slight injury, mate. So he'll be out for a couple of weeks.
He's in my draft team. All right, enough of that. Fucking shit game. Shit game Thursday.
Oh, look, it's not much better, this one. The Broncos have just been atrocious. A lot of people, and especially living up here in Brizzy, a lot of people are like, oh, we start off the season so well. Nah, you just played shit teams, to be honest. South were just deplorable in that first week, and they've shown where a good team can get to after a couple of weeks. Broncos have gone backwards. I don't want to be on anyone here kind of thing on the Broncos other than Payne Haas. He's really, really solid, as we all know.
He'll score 70 without trying.
Yeah, Stags. Although, obviously, we've all seen, I don't know if you've seen it, mate, the video of him and Albert Kelly having a bit of a...
Don't step on the man's shoes.
Mate, don't step on my shoes, mate, but...
He's got nice white shoes. You don't step on them.
Who wears white shoes anyway?
Big black blokes.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I'd probably walk up to the bloke and I'd be bigger than him, and you'd tower over the both of us. But anyway,
who picks a fucking fight with an NRL prop forward? Unless you're another NRL prop forward, that's just fucking dumb.
Yeah,
they fucking eat you.
Albert Kelly, he's got his history, doesn't he? But anyway, mate, I just see the Roosters just toweling up the Broncos here. I reckon the Roosters can put 40 or 50 on them. I think this is a huge week to have plenty of Roosters players in your team. We saw it last week when they performed really, really well against the Cows, and I think they can do the same thing this week. Pick your player. The hardest thing is picking the right player. That's what it comes down to in the Roosters. I think the most consistent player you're obviously going to have in your team is Teddy. But blokes in that forward pack that have been performing really well, your Connor Watsons, your Nat Butchers, your Radleys, going really, really well. Obviously, Angus Crichton's still on the bench. He's got to be a complete avoid at the moment. He's scoring 30, 40 points each week, and that's just not what we're used to.
Being the Friday match, worth a sneaky VC on Teddy?
Oh, look, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with it. But the problem is, if you're sneaky VCing on Teddy, you can't captain Pappy. It's the only downside is that
if I had Tupu in my team, I'd be suggesting maybe a sneaky VC on him.
I wouldn't disagree. Tupu could go through this game, and he's up against Cobbo on that right hand side. Tupu on the left, Cobbo on the right. They'll be matching up. Tupu could just pull this guy's pants down and he'll score 3 or 4 tries. He's going to go over the top of him, whether it's kick, he's going to go through him, whether it's scoring. Yeah, look, I wouldn't disagree. Jazz is suspended. Sorry, suspended 2 weeks, not injured 2 weeks. Suspended.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thanks, Benny.
Good. I won't trade him then. I'll just bench him.
Saturday game, 2:30, 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Fuck, I've got to get this daylight saving shit out of my head. Mate, old school. What's going on with the Canberra logo there? We're going old school.
Mate, so I actually did do effort. I didn't just rip off the graphics. I did actually put effort in. And I get to choose the fucking logos if I have to do the graphics. And I don't like the Raiders modern logo. So I went back to the fucking old one. Same. That's the old Storm logo as well. Their logo's different now.
Other than none of the Raiders players having the actual old school feeling, mentality, personality, I don't mind it. I like it. I think Jackie White's got tough cunning.
No, it didn't have the old school salary cap rorting either, but yeah.
Tommy Starling, mate. What are your thoughts on him?
The Super Starling.
The Super Starling. Ooh.
Yeah, he's my
Kendo hard over this bloke.
He's my starting hooker. Now.
Who the fuck's your reserve?
Tyrone Wishart, and he bounces back and forth, allowing me to shift players around as I need it. Because he's dual position in the halves.
Fuck, I'd hate to see your team, man. Hang on, let's look up Bogan's team. How do you not have a gun hooker in your team?
I do have a gun hooker in my team. His name's Tom Starling.
Yeah, from a point of view with this one, mate, Brad Schneider had a good pickup with cash in the weekend. We know that he's got good job security. He's not going anywhere. He's going to continue to jump up in cash. Hopefully we can get better than 35s or 40s out of him. We saw 2 weeks ago him score 79, so hopefully that's something. Against this team, though, I definitely doubt it. The Melbourne Storm are just going to absolutely destroy the Raiders. Where is McDonald's Park?
I believe that's in Wagga.
Wagga. Fuck are they doing in Wagga Wagga?
I don't know. And going back to the previous conversation we had, that's why the Bears bids are going to fail. Because the Bears bid is all around, we're going to play in country towns. Fucking clubs are doing it already. Don't need the Bears to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Raiders played in Mudgee not long ago.
Mudgee was last week, was Raiders and Manly played in Mudgee last.
So the NRL clubs are getting out there to those regional areas. So if you're in Wagga, stay out. Raiders versus Storm.
Yes.
Chance to see the Storm, absolutely.
I know the Panthers have played the Sharkies a couple of times in Bathurst. They've always been a good game and a good atmosphere. So, mate, I reckon it's awesome taking it out to country fields. Forget this fucking playing at ANZ Stadium when you've got an 80,000 capacity stadium and 12,000 people in it. Get out to the country. TV games still look as good out there as they do anywhere else. They look better.
They do look better. And as I said, these maybe not Wagga because that's one of the bigger towns going, but an NRL game coming to town is a big deal to some of these towns.
Oh, it's huge, mate. Massive for
it's an event.
For the Storm, mate, pick your player. All these guys, anyone in this team, any week, can score plus. If Fusi can score a couple of tries, Bromwich has been brilliant. Jerome Hughes hasn't probably had the start of the season that his sort of other, teammates have had, but, mate, he could throw in 130 or 140 if he decides to run the show this week. Cam Munster bouncing back off a bad week. Let's see what he does. Shaved his head. I definitely think he needs the hair back. So,
mate, that's just Samson's lock. Samson's locks, mate. You don't you don't cut the long hair. Look at what happened to Willie Mason when he cut his afro off. Turned to shit.
Yeah, Willie was shit anyway. But anyway,
he was awesome when he had the afro.
Willie's my boy though. And Pappy, mate. Wow, what a game last week. 4 tries, try assists, just everywhere. So let's hope he can just repeat that every week. Set and forget captain on Pappy would be absolutely amazing. And this is what I mean, mate. You talk about Teddy being the VC option. He can't be a VC option while Pappy's out there playing teams like this. So, we'll see what happens. 5:30 game on the Saturday, mate. Who have we got? Oh, we got the Charity Shield teams. Bunnies up against the Dragons.
Bunnies played shit in the Charity Shield and lost this year. So
it's just mate. This Ilias is getting better each week, mate. Look, Latrell looks good. Latrell scares the shit out of me. He really does. He's going to blow up one game soon, and his confidence is just going to go skyrocketing. He kicked that bird in the head on the weekend. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
All into the crowd, but yeah, good on him for giving the old grandma a hug. And
he gave her his boots and the game ball. So look for those on eBay.
Yeah. But yeah, really, mate, that's something she'll keep forever. I think that'll stay in the family for a while. But a solid team here in the Bunnies up against a very, very miserable team in the Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can very much reverse this Charity Shield. And I think the Rabbitohs, clear this out by 20 or 25 points or something like that. It's just they'll just score for fun in this one.
Notice Jack DeBellin's forced his way into the starting lineup this week. Do you reckon you'll be able to penetrate the defence?
He's good at penetrating and forcing.
Has it been long enough that we can start making jokes about Jack DeBellin?
It's been a couple of years. We're allowed to we're allowed to go there now. But other than that, mate, you look Francis Molo, Sharon Woods up front. The Dragons are just. It's like what the reserve.
What's going on with Lomax? He was in sizzling form like past couple of seasons. This year he's fucking shit.
Oh, look, he scored 60 odd points last week. He's just in a shit team, mate. That's probably the only thing is that it's just a very, very average team. But in saying that, mate, like I reckon this guy, if you could somehow sign with a top 4 team, I think he is one of the best centres in the game. I really do. But I also think he might just have a little bit too big a head on him as well. So I think getting him into a system where, he's with other players that are a lot better than him. I think he's one of the best players in the team. I think he needs to go to a team where everyone else is better than him, and he'll be able to shine through just by being a little bit more humble. But yeah, we'll wait and see.
But much like that Roosters game, you can almost take your pick with Rabbitohs in this.
Oh, correct. Yeah, correct. Ilias played well last week. Cody Walker had a little bit of a bounce back as well. He's still, they've got an easy run coming up the Rabbitohs, so a lot of people talking about Rabbitohs players get him in. AJ hasn't performed as well this year as he did last year, but that's purely because they haven't got those set plays going just quite as good yet. But that cards.
Yeah. Ready for the next one?
Yep, go for it. Titans up against the Eels. Oh, Benny and Shieldsy, they'll be loving this one. Pretty much round 1 already. This was a cracking game in round 1. I think we saw 8 tries scored in the first half and then just a single try in the second half.
I don't think it's going to be as close.
No, I don't think it's going to be as close. I think the Eels have definitely developed a lot further. I think they've just gelled a lot quicker. I still don't like their back line with regards to Opicic and Simonson. So we'll just sort of see what happens there. But Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses have they've just grown confidence after confidence week in, week out. Return of Sean Lane this week. We'll see how that goes. Ryan Madison on the bench, but both of those guys interchange quite well. The whole team and the Eels has just been really solid. They really play for each other. I'm just hoping they can carry it through for a full season for once, rather than get to the finals and just get knocked out, which they always do.
Oh, hold on a second. Someone's requesting. People are requesting Spanish.
Spanish?
Yeah.
Thanks, me Bogan. Troy J. Cisco from Mojo. You'll get one, mate. You'll get one. Mate, for the Titans, it's a little bit of a hard one for the Titans. I'm not too sure where they go to after last week. They started off the season pretty solid, and they just look really, really bad. I'm not too sure where they're going. I don't mind Asako. I like Asako, but it's almost like he's come in there trying a little bit too hard. Sexton's good, but I think, again, he's been found out a little bit by other teams that are just better than them. They're putting that little bit of pressure on him. There's classy players in there, but I just think they all need to step up that 1 or 2 levels. And I think they're all a little bit guilty of trying too hard. Patrick Herbert's, blokes like that. The only bloke who doesn't try too hard is David Fafita, and he doesn't try at all. So, let's just see what happens. Tino's been brilliant. Tino's definitely led that team. Putting the C on him, I think, was the best thing they could have done because he's been brilliant in the first 4 rounds. It may not be something we see reflected in Supercoach, but from an NRL point of view, he's been their best player so far in these opening 4 rounds. Sunday footy, mate. What have we got? My boys up against the Tigers. Yeah, look, the 4:00 game on the Sunday. Obviously, the Sharkies have started off the season really, really well. Fanuca's been just awesome. Nico's been fantastic, and they're just finding it really, really easy to get along in this team. The Tigers, on the other hand, have just been terrible. They're losing the battle in the middle. They're losing the battle on the edges, and it's really not giving their outside men any chance to sort of perform. Luke Brooks has just been the player that we always seen, and that's just below average. Jock Madden in 6. They can't wait to get Hastings back. I think Hastings changes this team. I really do. What I saw from him over the first 2 rounds, he was brilliant. So I think he should be back next week. He'll make a massive difference to this team, but they've just got so much to build on. I think talk is obviously that Sheens is going to take over and that Maguire is just gone. Again, I think you probably talk about the Dolphins with the Wayne Bennett sort of factor and that sort of being not as strong. I think Sheens is probably going to have the same issue, but maybe that's what they need is just some old head just to come in and get them into line because Madge definitely doesn't have control of that team. I think it'll be a pretty easy win to the Sharks, and I hate saying that as a Sharkies fan because you never like to go into a game too confident, but I just points on the board, the Sharks in this one.
You talked about the graphics earlier.
Yep.
I couldn't find the picture of a shit that I usually use. I was going to put that for the Tigers. They are fucking woeful. I've had the displeasure of having to catch the past 2 Tigers games, and mate, the sport would be fucking broke if that was the demonstration.
Mate, look, I started the season with Luciano Leilua, and points-wise, he hasn't been too bad. I think he's averaged about sort of 60-odd. So, he's done the job that I need for him, but I would like to see a try or 2 out of him. I know he got that one taken off him a couple of weeks ago. But the West Tigers, they just don't seem to know how to use their strengths. And there aren't many there. They really aren't.
No.
I've said it from day one when they signed Joe Ofahengaue. The fact that this guy can be in your starting 13 means your team is absolutely disgraceful. Joey O, he's just not a good enough player. But Supercoach-wise, I don't think there's anyone in that team that we can really look at. Tuolangi, a lot of people have got him as a cheapie. He's had a shoulder issue. He's had a HIA issues over the first 4 rounds. So he's definitely got something to prove of why he's in there. Hopefully we can see that and he can bounce back with a decent score. But I just think this is just one of those games where the Sharkies sort of win it, 30-10, 30-12, and we move on. And the last game to finish the round, we've got the reigning premiers up against the worst team in the comp. Mate, what can you say? Look, again, this is just one of those weeks where who do we pick as captain? We've sort of spotted that there are a bunch of games where potential captains are all over the place. Picking the right one this week is going to be vital, much like it was last week. Cleary, does he bounce back? Does Jerome Luai throw in 120 or 140, which we know he's capable of? Does Targo continue his form? Does May continue his form? Dylan Edwards has been brilliant. I just don't see how the Bulldogs can stop this team. TPJ has been solid, but he's been a man apart. He's just been there by himself. Thompson, Vaughan I spruiked before the season. Again, he's been solid, but again, not the player that I thought he would be for this team. And from a Supercoach point of view, Maxi King on the bench has been the shining light. So, Dufty's been solid, but I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the interview with Zach Lomax and Blake Laurie during the week, mate?
No.
That went on in Hindy? Mate, it was absolutely hilarious. 7 minutes of just pissing yourself laughing at Zach Lomax and Blake Laurie, but for a good 2 minutes out of that 7 minutes, they gave it to Matt Dufty, and no wonder the Dragons got rid of him. It sounds like he's basically Jimmy Maloney reincarnated, an absolute pest. But a good footballer he is, but he just looks like again, if you look at the back line, he's trying and no one else is. And in the forward pack, TPJ's trying and no one else is. So,
Trent Barrett is such a fucking awful coach.
I don't think it matters who coaches this team right now, mate. I think they've just got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not agreeing with you, mate, but I don't know the Gus influence, the Barrett influence, where it all sort of lands, but they're just really, really average, these teams.
Mm. But your Liam Knight Award winner is in form.
Mate, he is. Look, yeah, he's trying his guts out, Matty Burton. But I think at this stage is sort of where I saw him. I like Burton, and I think he probably made the wrong decision leaving the Panthers. Whether he had a position at 6, whether it was in the centres at the Panthers, you're in a premiership winning side and you've gone to the Wooden Spooners. He wasn't the player to drag them out of that. He wasn't the player to lead them.
Neither's Addo-Carr. And I think I mentioned that earlier on. Their gameplay of play down to Addo-Carr's side every fucking play, it's just fucking them.
Yeah. I mean, these are guys that they can't carry teams. They're not. That's Josh Addo-Carr never was. He was just a brilliant finisher.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he was a brilliant finisher was because he's been in the best team in the comp for the last 6 years. Matty Burton, he hasn't proven that yet, and he won't prove it at the Dogs. So, it's the wrong place for him. But anyway, we move on.
Anyway, and that is the last game of that round. On to the leagues. I'll just set this up.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm just fucking struggling. Who's this one? What's this one?
This is the Group Weekly. So, Shitesville, Andrew, wasn't Shitesville this week with a 15.34. Followed by Sharky Boy, Jeff.
Dino with Omnisider 13. I'm Insider.
Omnisider?
I don't know. Anyway, 243rd overall. Well done, Dino. That's very, very good. Very healthy position to be in the start of the season. So well done, mate.
Yep. Jason with Big Unit. He scored just under the 1,500. And Bray Savages, Braden, with a 1480.
And you see there, guys, obviously this time of the season, anyone who scored over 1,400 last week, all those lads well and truly just inside that top 10,000, except down there with the AstraZeneca Angels, Roddy, but just outside on his way in. So some really, really good teams. You can see there the values, though. Rod's probably struggling at 10,292,000. One of the players there busted 11 with Dean. And he's up in 243rd. So cash generation, boys, definitely a key at this time of the year, so we can buy the team that we need.
It takes us to the overall for the group, and it's obviously Omnisider.
Michael Payne-Haas at 401, Pelican Zane at 665, Jonathan with Unleashed Kennel at 763. So 4 players in top 1,000. It's not too bad at this time of the year. I think we can all move upwards from there.
Yep. Bogan Cup.
Bogan Cup. So this is the third one, and pain in your ass, Michael obviously leading the way overall there. But last round, Chops, Harley.
1463.
Well done, mate. Just outside that top 1,000 overall. Hopefully you can back it up this week, mate, and break into that. See how we go. Oh, Finchie's kids, look at that, number 7. What a legend.
It's always nice to appear on the top 10s, isn't it?
There we go. What do we got here?
This is the all-in?
All-in league?
Yep.
Oh, look at number 10. I love when we see Leanne on a list. You know, she's on the way upwards, mate. There's a little bit of class about Leanne. She's got
when the smoke clears at the end of the year, she'll still be around.
Be there. She will be there. She is a gun. I tell you what, Hope in Cogger, top scored in this league with 1359, but 27,000 overall, struggling. So a good week there for Frankie with Hope in Cogger. Hopefully you can keep it going, champion. And then the top league, mate. What do we got? The number 1 league.
The number 1 league. Benny.
Jesus.
Benny, of course, has his team stacked with fucking Parramatta players. Of course, he's going to fucking top it for the week.
Tell you what, 1,428. Well done, Benny. Fucking cracking week. Elite Robbery, Brad. Rapanorama, Adro. And Shmana, Checkmate, 13-17. So, a few good scores up the top there, boys. But I tell you what, the overall ranks very, very shaky. Ethan, Shilsey. Jesus, mate, 45,000 overall. What were you smoking in rounds 1, 2, and 3, mate? That is shocking, son. That's even worse than me last year. And Hampton rounding out the top 10 there, 12.56 for the week.
Onto the draft results. Look at that top one.
I cannot fucking win a game at this thing. Where am I? I won a game.
You won. Yeah, you got up over the Shockmasters.
804. That must be my first win of the season. This is fucking. Oh no, actually, I think I'm going right in this one. It's my other 3 leagues. I'm going terrible at. So we've had Bogues. You've got over Hampton. Very, very nice. Benny's having a cracker of a season in draft and classic. So well done there, champion. He got over Klim and Gula's Kebabs. Kando getting over Teddy. And
Shano had the bye, it looks like.
Yeah, Wayno, let us know what's going on, mate. We miss you, buddy. And for the draft results, mate, or
ladder. Well, I have to announce, Joshy, that unfortunately we're going to have to stop the draft league this week.
Right.
It's over. I don't know, something to do with Russia and the Ukraine. So we're just going to call the season from the standings now.
You're on top, are you, mate?
So, yeah, that's it. So, fellas, the draft is over. That's it. No more draft for this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is what we will always look at in this is your points scored. And, mate, not only are you 3-1, but you've also scored more points for scored than anyone else. So that you're a legitimate number one, which is good.
I tell you what, I don't think I will be next week. I reckon Benny will be. Benny's on a charge.
He is breathing down your neck. He is going really, really solid. I would like to point out as well that normally whoever's got the highest against them is one of the better teams in the comp as well. If we look down that list, points against, the BJonGameDay team for Joshy, mate, I've come up against the Kings every week, and I'm 2-2, so I'm pretty solid there. But yeah, a little bit dirty that everyone's playing good against me and not against each other. And, mate, Wayno Hell's Grannies, mate, 1,900 scored for. Come on, Wayno, let us know what's going on, mate. We hope you're well. And that's it.
That is it, mate.
Boys and girls, another week gone. Let's just go back to the start of the show where we obviously put up the in memoriam. Anyone who missed it to start the show. Nick Fowler.
You want the full screen or the...
Chuck it back up, mate. Chuck it back up. Yeah, so just, guys, yeah, cherish your loved ones. Cherish every day you've got. Up Cronulla. Nico, unfortunately, single vehicle accident down in Canberra there earlier in the week. Yeah, long-term draft member of one of our private leagues that me and Brenner in, so nothing really to do with the show, but, you know, I remember sort of sitting in, you know, Stevie Woods, one of our boys, you know, lounge rooms and drafting with Nico there in person with him, and just an absolute cracking guy. Brent, long-term friend of his. So, guys, we send tribute out to Nico. Unfortunately, way too young to pass. But guys, stay safe. Love your loved ones, and do everything you can to just sort of live each day as it is your last, because sometimes it can be. And unfortunately, we no longer have Nico with us. So, shout out to him this week. This will be all about him, and no doubt the Sharkies will get up for him this week in memoriam for that. So yeah, there it is, guys. There's another week, and love yous all. I really appreciate everyone watching the show week in, week out, guys. There's a lot more to life than footy, but this is sort of what brings us together and what makes us mean so much to each other. But I'm sure there's plenty more there as well. So cheers, guys, and yeah, take it easy. We will catch you all next week.